Artist, author, mentor, fiercely independent mother and wife, and the founder of a multiple six-figure creative business. And I love my life, but I've been where you're at. I was slogging away at this art business thing for more than a decade. But once I finally connected with my true calling, unlocked the magic of marketing, and built a system that could scale, well, I realized I could make an impact and make a substantial income. I'm finally running a business that I love, and it makes all the difference in the world. My biggest dream is to help you do the same. Let this podcast be the catalyst to your biggest success. You already have it in you because you are made remarkable. Well, I have my good friend Margarete here on the podcast, and I'm happy to have you back on again. We had an interview back in the fall of last year, and anyhow, hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here and be talking about the things about my membership and how things are going in my business. And yep, it's all
Yeah,
good.
big transfer of where you were last year to where you are now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that just to bring you back on, refresh everybody, make sure that they find you on Instagram and especially on YouTube, because that's where you're putting your focus,
Yeah.
and learn more about Marguerite. But let's talk like all things business models and
Yeah.
marketing and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you went through to change from the kind of position where you were and where you're at now.
Yes. Yeah. I do have some big changes that I want to share regarding the whole mindset, because I think that's probably the biggest change for me in a year. Marketing used to be the thing that terrified me, that it made me anxious, and I just had this like icky feeling like, ugh, I have to sell myself and I have to be promoting all the time. And I just did not have a good feeling about it. To now, it's switched and I feel comfortable, so much more comfortable, which is honestly, it's not a place I thought I would be, because that feeling, first of all, was so overwhelming of this being uncomfortable that I was just like, I'm never going to get over this. There's no way. To now, I feel more relaxed and I feel like I have a message and I feel like what I provide helps people get to where they want to be in their art. And so I feel like, you know what? I do want to share this and I do want people to find this and to be happy in what they're doing. And so I'm excited about it. And that's amazing. That is the biggest thing that has changed for me since I started a year ago.
And it's crazy to think how many creative businesses, artists, makers who are shy to talk about what they do, and yet they want a business. So the most important thing you can do is talk about what you do. So to see you go
Yeah.
from this is icky, I feel uncomfortable, to I'm showing up and I'm helping people. And that's all
Yeah.
marketing really is. We're having a conversation and I'm letting them know what's available and how their life's going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it too is the overwhelm of like, oh my gosh, there's so much that needs to be done. There's the social media and then there's the email and oh, I forgot to email my list and it's been 2 weeks and is it too late now? And that there's just like this compounding of things that you feel like you need to get done. And now I feel, again, a little bit more confident about what I'm doing and relaxed, and it's okay. And a plan, which is hugely important. At least, there's long-term plans and there's short-term plans. So having the confidence to be able to take those steps to do the things that I need to do to promote myself, I just feel more comfortable with that.
And you say a plan, which is something that we worked out. Like I have a whole method that helps, the Prism marketing method, which
Yeah,
really kind of puts the pieces into place so you can simplify it
yeah,
and execute it. And if one part you don't get to, you still know the other parts are kind of filling in the gaps,
yes,
right? And
yes,
once it's amazing how once you figure it out, how simple, like I've been through a lot of other coaches and teachers and ideas on marketing. When I finally broke it down, I'm like, what is the thing that helps me generate customers the most? This simple
yeah,
triangle of a marketing machine, a lead magnet, and a newsletter. And you just kind of put it into play and everything kind of falls into place. And once that happens, it's like definitely not so overwhelming.
Right. And you really helped me prioritize what needs to be done. You really asked me the questions again, what's going to be making you money right now? Because we want to do all the things, right? We want to do the promoting in all these areas and take on these little tiny projects that might get us more people or create another lead magnet. And we want to try and experiment and do all these things. But you've been really good about reminding us about saying, okay, but what's going to make you money right now? What can you do to really focus on that? And that's been very helpful as well.
Well, when I read the book Essentialism, that changed how I looked at everything and even how I taught everything and how I
Okay.
looked at my business because I was stuck too with
Yeah.
overwhelm, exhaustion, spinning my wheels, the same thing that most entrepreneurs feel when they get things up and going and they're like, okay, I'm doing all these things. I'm not making as much money as I'd like. I'm exhausted. I'm working 12-hour days. None of
Right.
this makes sense. This isn't what I signed up to do. And when I read
Yeah.
Essentialism, everything changed in the way I looked at my business. And now, of course, it's taken me like 2 years since reading it to implement this idea that I need
Yeah.
to let go of more and just
Right.
focus on, like you said, what's making money now? What's going to keep pushing the business forward now? So that
Yeah.
priority is really important.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you did was make a priority over what part of your business you wanted to focus on. Because before we started working together, you had a big, huge free community that you served and served and served, and you
Yeah.
sold physical products, which were books,
Books. Yeah.
or they've got collage and prompts and everything in them. They're
Yeah.
really cool, but
Yeah.
even though your gross margin looks big, the profit margin's much lower. And there's all of these like books that have to be shipped out on a regular basis.
Right.
And you're like, I just want to get out from the weight of these books. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world are you
Yeah.
serving this community without having them reciprocate financially so you can sustain yourself?
Right.
It's like, oh, but can I do this? I remember
Yeah.
you're like, no, they're not going to want to pay, but here you are. You've got members and it's growing all the time and it's working out. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and I was, of course, anxious also when I launched my membership in October of last year. I knew that I would get some signups, but I just didn't know if I was going to be able to maintain it and at a level that I thought was providing enough value. That was my biggest worry. And people come and go, of course. There's always, retention issues to pay attention and deal with, but providing that value is super important to me. And one of the things is that when people have indicated that they're going to leave, I send an automatic email saying, hey, thanks so much for being a part of this. I understand it's not a right fit for you right now, but if you would let me know what it was or give me some feedback about the membership, I would really appreciate it. And the responses that I have gotten from the people who do leave and have sent me those emails, it's not about the value. It's about where they are at their space, at their time. They don't have the time. They have other things they need to deal with, so it's not a reflection of what I'm providing.
Right.
And that's been such a huge relief to me. Like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right track. I can do this.
Right.
That's the thing I've been telling myself. I can do this. I can keep on going with this. So far, so good.
Well,
Yeah.
part of it was designing a membership that wasn't going to strangle you because membership models are not the easiest as
Yeah.
far as keeping up with the workload and the customer satisfaction and making sure that
Yeah.
you're not always on call, all the things
Yeah.
that people worry about memberships. I know you were a bit concerned of like, can I
Yeah.
create value without overextending myself? And you
Right.
decided you didn't want a membership model that was based off of creating new video lessons. It's a different kind
Right.
of a membership model, which I
Yes.
think is really exciting. It's a community membership model that hold your members accountable to making the kind of art that they say they want to make.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
other really beautiful elements in it, prompts and a beautiful magazine and art swaps. So there's a lot of ways in which you can build a membership without it just being how-to video based, is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to.
Right. Right. I did not want to have that to-do list of I have to make a new video every however long, 2 weeks or once a month or whatever. And we would be working off of that for our content. The core of the membership is still following the same concept that I want to encourage people to create, not just to watch on the sidelines, but to actually create, because
Right.
the process of creating really does it does something to you. There's a transformation that happens. You feel good. It just allows you as a human being to experience something when you're creating. So that's what I want. And how I do it is through my projects. You know, once a month we're going to be doing this instead of, as you said, I'm not doing it with a video content. It's like a visual magazine. It's an 8-page magazine that introduces the project. We're going to do this month. Here's the things that you need. Here are some examples. And then it has other things in it, like little project exercises to do and an interview with one of our members who shows how they do collage art. So it's a visual, lots of really good stuff to look at and to consider. And then, of course, we have an online meet and we talk about the project and brainstorm and share ideas and share what we're working on. So it is really encouraging. And this community part is really the backbone of the whole thing. And we've gotten to know each other and everybody's so supportive. We do a lot of exchanges. Sometimes stuff gets lost in the mail and somebody says, oh, I didn't get my whatever. And somebody volunteers right away. Oh, let me send you. I have extras or I did more, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really, really nice. It's so cool when you've got friends who get it, who know what you love and, you know, are really into the same art that you are. It's so, so cool to be able to communicate with them and get support.
Globally, too. This is a global community. And to make note, this isn't a typical like painting or mixed media course. You're really focused on vintage and collage. So it's not a whole lot of, I'd say, from the outsider's perspective, a whole lot of techniques of different materials. You really do kind of like focus in on your love for vintage and found and even printables that you
Yeah,
create these beautiful layers of collage and stamp. And
right.
I love it because it tells a story. It reminds me a lot of my scrapbooking days in a lot of ways where I'm tracking through experiences and memories by putting them all together in beautiful collages. It's a concept that I guess I forgot. Like I'm so inundated with the mixed media world. I'm like, oh, there is a different way to do it. And you bring together the people who that resonates with. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not the same point of view as everybody else. And
No, no.
amazingly, there's a big community that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's kind of simplified. We're dealing mostly with paper. And so your supplies, you really don't need that much. You need paper, a glue stick, and something to glue it on. And then vintage is kind of the thing that unites us. We love the vintage vibe, and they don't need to be 100% vintage, but it could be vintage inspired, like you said, like a printable. You can print something that's in that vintage kind of feel, right? Because you want to create your collage to have those elements that you like, right? So
Mhm.
we all stick together with the vintage theme. And it helps to simplify things with having that goal in mind rather than
Right.
just collage in general. So
Well,
yeah,
that specificity makes a difference in being able to build your brand and your niche. And I
yeah,
love that. Plus, I have an affinity for vintage, and I did a whole series myself that kind of abandoned along the way. But that whole timeless art, postcards from Paris, like I collect it. Maybe I need to get in there and learn what to do with it because it's just stacking up. But there's something so fun about it because then you probably get to have fun conversations about the hunt for the product
yes,
too.
yes.
And that's
It's
the
a
part I'd
huge
be like, I just
topic.
want to hear more about what amazing flea markets, where are the finds, where's the cool stuff that who would have ever
Yeah,
even thought? Like, so there's a lot of elements and fun to it. What's been the biggest hurdle for you though? Because I know when you launched it, it wasn't like it was just smooth sailing. It was a lot to undertake, building up mighty networks for how you were going to do it and the whole
yeah,
messaging and the plan and then onboarding everybody. It's not
right.
exactly the easiest thing.
Right. I tend to do things, because there's like 4 weeks out, you're going to do this. 3 weeks out, you're going to do this. 2 weeks out, you're going to do this. I tend to do everything last minute. And so planning that way out in the distance is very difficult because
Yeah.
I'm not in the moment. I don't have the feeling. So being able to craft an email like welcome to the membership and I'm 2 months out, it's so hard. And so that's been my biggest struggle is, yeah, I know that there's a structure and I know that there's like a to-do list and I need to do things, but it's so hard, because you're your own boss and you make your own decisions. It's so hard to make myself do the things that I need to do to prepare.
Right. I get it. I'm in the middle of that right now with a June launch coming. And I'm like, oh, I have to have everything done before I travel. I have to have it done early because other people are relying on me. But
Yeah,
the nice thing is once you've done it once, it's all ready to go for the next
I
time.
know. I know. I
So
know.
then
And I
that
have
makes
to
it
remember
easier.
that.
And I do see that things are getting easier for you now, what, about 6 or so months into it.
Yes. Yes. Things are easier because I've done it already once. And so things are more familiar. And
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing is the experience. And one of the awesome things about your community, about the league, is that I get to see other people go through this process and I get to see how they do it. And that is so, so helpful because then it becomes, again, more familiar to me. Like, oh, yeah, this is how that person did it. Oh, yeah, look, and here's an example of their email of what the words they use. And here is an example of their sales page, right? And
Yeah,
all
we
the things that
share
go in the
so
sales page.
much. We share
So,
everything with each
wow.
other.
Oh my gosh. It's like front row seat to seeing how to successfully launch a product or, that's just amazing.
Yeah, it's been really exciting because I love watching the growth. The league really took off. And everything that we learn in the league is what I packaged up for Build It Remarkable, which is the program that I'm launching next. And it's primarily focused on figuring out that strategy structure and your marketing and your
Yeah.
messaging, the things that are really important that most creatives and artists
Yeah.
don't really, like you said, it's scary. You don't know how to do it. You don't know why is nothing connecting or clicking. And then you step back and you're like, oh, there's a process for this. Right.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
changes everything.
Scary and overwhelming. And those are the two things that you really help us get over. You show how it's possible to do these things in a very relaxed way. And then you just show us that it's not too much. If you just take it in these steps and you have these goals in mind, it's totally doable.
Right. I'm glad that you said that because that's really my goal is to break it down and then empower everyone. And
Yeah.
one thing that's like, I am a no nonsense, tell it like it is bossy, not bossy kind of a coach, meaning
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to
Yeah.
exactly tell you what you need and hold you
Yeah.
accountable to it. But
Yeah.
I also look at the way that we show up as creatives is different than other business models. We are very heart-centered. We are very and oftentimes very empathetic of our
Yeah.
customer and their emotions and how we interact with them. So the way
Right.
that we talk to them is going to be different than the copywriter who's trying to get copywriting clients or, I could go down a list, the mechanic, they've got a whole different need. And even
The
though
real estate
I'm a
agent.
marketing, I know real estate agent, I could help technically all of them, but my
Yeah.
specialty is with the creative and the creative heart because we're very similar in that we're good at being procrastinators. We're really good at being sensitive to our customers and not wanting to,
Yeah.
market. We're afraid that if we're going to be too much for them. And then we learn
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
this process, and I've learned through experience and through helping others that the more we just lean into service, the more we lean into caring about their results more than ourselves, it
Yeah.
actually makes it a lot easier. Like you said, it becomes fun because then you
Yeah.
know that people are going to light up from it. They're going to have
Yes.
the experience they want to have.
Yes. The thing for me has been the email list. For so long, I was just like, oh, I have to email, try and keep the list alive. And what am I going to say? I have no idea, and nobody's going to like this, or they're going to just be unsubscribing. And so, and now it's turned into, what can I share with them? Oh, I just, like, for example, we just finished with spring break, and I had this interesting experience at an antique mall. And I'm like,
Ooh.
oh my gosh, this is the perfect thing to share on my email list. So I'm having so much fun, even just putting that, email together and using
Exactly.
photos that I took. And so that's also been a big transition for me from last year to this year. Just
Yeah. So,
enjoying
yeah.
or being connecting with people, just enjoying that.
Yeah. And so now when you show up in the, whether it's social media or in the inbox, it's like, I can't wait to share with them. This is what
Yeah,
we've been, it's not, oh no, I got to show up in the inbox and just sell another thing. And that's the biggest mistake a lot of people do, is that's all they do is sell, and then they get low open rate.
right,
But when you
right.
show up being yourself, that's all anyone really wants. They don't
Yep,
need a professional marketer in their inbox.
right.
They need a human in their
Exactly.
inbox. And once
Yep,
that permission was given, everyone in the group seemed to be like, oh, okay, I can do my emails. It's much, much easier now.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
We built in those kinds of systems to make it work the way an artist would naturally want to be and work in this world.
Yeah, it's just, and it's a mindset, right? It's how you reframe things. And that is hugely important. And it's something that you started to talk to us kind of early on once we joined. And we talked about it more than once, which is, I think, is also important because it helps you, you learn something new, but then it needs to kind of percolate and think about things, and then you put it into action. And so that's been very helpful, having it be a focus more than just once, that you just tell you once and then that's it. So
Nope, that's probably why you're here for another year round two with the lead,
yes,
because you
exactly.
can never learn too much. We are going to go back
Exactly.
through from the beginning and redesign and make sure all the pieces of the puzzle are making sense, because
Right.
I learned I'm gonna make an analysis that's completely off the wall, but I learned Arabic when I was in the military. And when you start, you're like, I'm just picking out the letters. And it moved faster than I could really keep up with. But somehow you'd get far down the road and you'd look back, the thing that didn't make sense suddenly makes sense. And then you go back to the beginning and it's like, oh, this path is so much clearer. And that's why you continue to make progress. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you work fast, but then you go back a little bit and you're like, now let's reiterate. Oh, I do understand this.
exactly.
It's kind of like learning a language in that sense, that we might move
Exactly.
fast and we might think we have it. And then we're just like, what's going on? And then we review and we're like, oh, wait, it's because and fast is relative. I'm putting that in air quotes because that was still a whole year of working, but that's a
Right.
lot to
Yeah.
transform your business.
Yep.
And then you
I
can go back
agree.
and say, hey, these pieces are actually falling into place.
Yeah. And seeing it in action. That's the other thing, is you learn it and then you implement it and you see it in action. And
Exactly.
then you see, this worked or this didn't work. What can I do differently? What has somebody else done? Right. All those things are very, very helpful.
Yes. So, where are you moving in the future? What's going on? Direct people first and foremost to your vintage and collage membership.
Right. So my goal right now is to grow the membership. That's the main thing. That's
Right.
where I'm putting my energy, my focus. And as I'm sitting in the membership, I'm getting lots of really good ideas. And now I'm sifting through those ideas because it's an evergreen, so it's open all the time. So now I'm
Right.
thinking about, even though it's an evergreen membership, I still need to
Create a
launch
launch.
again at some point this year. So I'm thinking about what kind of projects or what kinds of things I can highlight
Mhm.
and get excited about and get people excited about to try with me and all that. So that's the number one, which is something I enjoy doing since I'm already in the membership and things are going well. I'm like, okay, cool. What else can we do? Right. So there's that. And then the other thing I'm still focusing on is YouTube. I'm
Yes.
enjoying that very much. And so between those two things, my plate is full.
I think that's all it takes, though. I mean, if you really talk about that prism marketing, you've got YouTube, you get them on the list, you nurture them, you invite them to your membership, put it on
Yeah,
repeat. That's it. You've got to show up on YouTube.
yeah, right.
And I love that your YouTube channel's grown. And I love that that was one of the goals that you told me that you were really set on this year, is to continue to improve it and grow
Yeah.
it. You make amazing videos. So
Thank
I
you.
love, you've got a great aesthetic. They're edited beautifully. People should definitely be watching you on YouTube, but your
Thank
YouTube
you.
channel is growing too.
Yes, it is. And I'm excited because I'm seeing some big changes in my analytics that show me that I'm on the right track
Yeah.
and things are heading in the right direction. So I'm really, really excited about that.
I'm glad. I am not a YouTube expert. I do tell people on the podcast often, if you're going to pick one big thing to do, pick YouTube. I wish I had done that 10 years ago instead of Instagram. I'm not regretting being on Instagram because it
Yeah,
has grown my business. But
right.
there is something really cool about YouTube in the fact that those lessons, first and foremost, the videos are evergreen, which means
Yeah,
people can search and find them very easily of past videos that you've done that might be the subject exactly that they're looking for now.
yeah,
It can grow and be monetized more easily than any of the other platforms.
right.
And people have a good amount of time to spend with you to see who you are, what you do, what you're
Yeah.
about, and if it fits them.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
the
because
big
it's a
thing
longer
about
form content.
with our businesses, our art businesses, so much relies on ourselves as the creator, our personalities and what we're providing, the type of art we're teaching, but us as a person, right? It's not just the art, it's ourselves, the person who's doing the art. And YouTube has really allowed me to show more of myself in that way. So it's not just the vintage ephemera, it's how I approach the vintage ephemera. And being able to share that with people has been extremely fulfilling. It's fun to do. And I'm so glad that people like the videos and that it's helping them jump in there and to start creating. That's exactly what I want. But it's also fun for me. It's fulfilling for me because it's a little bit of a challenge. And, you have to be thinking of things that you want to talk about and what you want to share. And then, doing all the designing or the editing and all of that, it's
It
it's
is very
all such a
creative.
huge creative process. And so it's been very fulfilling.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that it's a big component of the business. I
Yeah,
actually love that because we forget that when we've decided to go in business, we have to continually be attracting new customers. So we need
right.
to pick the platform that's going to fulfill us the most and help us shine the most. Honestly, every single one of these platforms are a marketing platform, but
Right.
it doesn't have to feel marketing. Like when you said you can just show up and be yourself, the things that you love, it connects with other people who love the same thing. And you have
Yeah.
a pretty narrow focus, which is really good. We know what to expect when we come to your
Yeah.
YouTube channel, which,
Right.
by the way, what is your YouTube channel so that they can find you?
Just go in the search bar and look for Marguerite Miller.
Yep. I'll
There's
have
just
them
one.
linked too. Margaret Miller, you can find her on Instagram, but you're not going to find her there as often as you'll find her on YouTube. So you
Right.
got to connect with her there. Is there anything else that you'd love to share with us today, Marguerite, before we wrap this up?
I would like to share that it takes determination to get where you want to be. It's so easy to just fall into the routine of where you may be in your life right now. And I know things are hard. It's such a struggle sometimes, even to just do simple things, to get up in the morning and take your kids to school or whatever. So I really, really do feel for people who feel stuck and overwhelmed and that you're just not in the place that you want to be in your life. So it can be really hard to take that step and to be like, you know what, I want something different. I don't want this. I want something more. And so taking that first step can be really hard. So I just encourage you to be brave and do something that could really make a big change in your life. And yeah, that's my words for
Be
now.
brave. Instead of being scared and overwhelmed, we can get you to
Yeah.
the point of feeling brave and empowered.
Yeah.
That's the goal with Build It Remarkable. Thank
Yeah.
you, Marguerite. I love chatting with you. And of course, I'll get to see you on Tuesdays when we meet
Yes.
our
Yes.
mastermind group.
I'm so looking forward to this coming year. I can't
know.
wait. In 1 year's time, I cannot imagine where things will be. So I'm
It's
so
going to
excited
be
about
amazing. Skyrocket. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.